The echo of work. You spend over 90,000 hours of your life working. That's more time than you'll ever spend with your family, your friends, or even yourself. So here's the real question. What if your work doesn't matter to you? Steve Jobs wrote, "Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work." The Stanford Moment. In 2005, at Stanford University, a man who had been fired from his own company stood on stage, thin, pale, but fierce. He told thousands of graduates a truth he had earned the hard way. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. What great work really means. Jobs didn't mean great as in rich or famous. He meant alive. Work that wakes you up at 4 a.m. because the idea won't let you sleep. Work that scares you because it might actually change something. That's great work. Everything else is just noise. The Fall and the Fire. After being forced out of Apple in 1985, Jobs said it was the best thing that ever happened to him. He built next. He invested in Pixar. He rediscovered curiosity and purpose. Every great work story begins the same way, not with success, but with rejection, mortality, and meaning. Jobs often said remembering death was his greatest tool for living fully, because almost everything, all pride, all fear of embarrassment, just falls away in the face of death. In the end, he measured his life not by profit, but by impact. The iPhone wasn't just a product. It was a philosophy of simplicity, focus, and beauty. Closing. Find your great work. You don't need to be Steve Jobs to make great work. You just need the courage to listen to that small, stubborn voice that says, "This matters." Because in the end, your work isn't what you do. It's what you leave behind. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. The Whisper Inside. There's a voice inside all of us, quiet, persistent, sometimes terrifying. It tells you what you must do, not what's safe, not what's expected, but what's true. Steve Jobs listened to that voice, and it changed the world. Steve Jobs wrote, "Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow know what you truly want to become." The Stanford Revelation. In 2005, at Stanford University, Jobs stood before thousands of students, already a legend, yet battling cancer. He didn't talk about technology. He talked about trusting yourself. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. He said, they somehow know what you truly want to become. Those words weren't advice. They were a confession. Heart vs. logic. Logic says play it safe. Heart says leap. Intuition isn't magic. It's memory, experience, emotion, all whispering at once. Jobs built Apple not from data, but from feel. He felt what technology should be. He felt what beauty meant in a circuit board. The courage was simply to trust that feeling. The wilderness years. When Apple fired him in 1985, he was devastated. But instead of chasing revenge, he followed curiosity. He built next. He bought Pixar. He reconnected with what made him love creating in the first place. That's the moment he stopped working for success and started working from passion. The return and creation. In 1997, Jobs returned to Apple, not as a businessman, but as an artist. The iMac, iPod, iPhone. None of these came from a focus group. They came from intuition, a feeling that simplicity wasn't weakness, it was truth. He once said, "Design is how it works." That's what following your heart looks like. It works. Legacy and call to action. In his final years, Jobs said remembering death was his greatest tool for life. He knew every minute mattered. So he lived by intuition, not fear. The world doesn't need more people who play it safe. It needs people who listen. So the next time your heart whispers something crazy, maybe that's the real you calling. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow know what you truly want to become. The illusion of leadership. We talk about leaders like they're born with something the rest of us don't have: charisma, vision, power. But Steve Jobs believed leadership wasn't about control. It was about creation. He said, "Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower." And he spent his life proving it. Steve Jobs wrote, "Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower." The spark of innovation. When Jobs returned to Apple in 1997, the company was dying. No direction, no purpose. He stripped everything away until only one thing remained: the drive to innovate. Innovation wasn't a department, it was a mindset. To Jobs, following was death. Leading meant risking everything for something that didn't exist yet. Innovation sounds beautiful, but it's brutal. Jobs demanded perfection. He pushed teams to the edge. To him, innovation wasn't about comfort. It was about breaking through resistance. He said, "Real artists ship," meaning, ideas mean nothing until you deliver. Many couldn't handle it, but those who stayed built the future. The Apple rebirth. From that mindset came the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone, revolutions of simplicity and emotion. Jobs didn't ask what people wanted. He built what they'd love once they saw it. That's innovation, not reaction, but creation. In less than a decade, Apple went from near bankruptcy to becoming the world's most valuable company. The philosophy of leadership. Jobs believed leaders see what others can't and have the courage to bring it into reality. A follower waits for permission. A leader creates the path. He once said, "It's not the customer's job to know what they want." He wasn't being arrogant, he was showing faith and vision. The legacy. Innovation isn't about gadgets, it's about daring, to see the world differently, and having the courage to act on it. Followers wait for the next update. Leaders build it. That's what Steve Jobs taught us, not through words, but through the world he left behind. Innovation distinguishes between leader and a follower. Leadership isn't about power. It's about creating something worth following. Follow for more stories from the minds that changed everything.